I'd like to call our meeting to order. There, as I can see, many citizens out there, and this is our concern portion of our meeting. I'd invite anybody to speak, but when you do, come up to the table and identify yourself, and it be as brief as you can, 3 minutes at the most, because otherwise people aren't going to have a chance to talk. And I'd like to be through this session by like 8 o'clock. So sort of time yourself and we'll see what we can make work. So if there are citizens that would like to speak, Scott, I see you up there. He's just got to get out, I think. So maybe what you want to do is line up and then we'll take an order, because otherwise I'm not going to see people's hands.
Either chair.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. How do we adjust that?
I don't know.
No, it's better.
It's not a microphone. It's not a mic for the camera.
Okay. My name is Scott Lyman.
Isn't he talking to us?
I probably spent 40 years in this building. I was
Say something.
a teacher here initially on the school board way back when. Had 5 kids that went through First Elementary School in Pioneer. Long-time administrator of the school, PVRSD president. I've had a 40-year relationship with the school and the district, and enjoyable. Okay. I'll be brief. This past Tuesday, a member of the community, not on the school district payroll, approached me to ask if I was aware of a recent survey done at the high school by Jean, who I assume is the school principal, and the faculty. When I gave a no answer, I was given a copy of the survey and its results and asked to review the contents. I have done so. I would ask you, the committee, if you also have received these documents. And the documents I received were about 25 pages long. It was a survey with 9 questions. There was an email that preceded it, and it was from March the 14th, the email. So I'm wondering if any of you, 25-page document, have seen this. Okay. That being so, if not, I would suggest that you ask for a copy so that you may review it before you next meet and before you do your next superintendent's evaluation. The district at the uppermost level took steps to get rid of 3 or 4 administrators with many years of leadership experience at the high school last year, and replaced them with 3 people with no experience in their current jobs. The results were predictable and are all well reflected in this survey. It also reflects the loss of administrator number 4 in this year's budget and the negative impact that will have. So I would ask that you folks take the time to read this survey. I'm assuming that what I read in the email to begin with on here says that it was from the principal and with the staff. And I think it's important that you review this material. I'm happy to leave a copy with you. I'm assuming that Ruth has probably seen the survey at some point. She hasn't seen the survey. Well, then she should also review it too. And I'd be happy over the course of the next month to talk to you about that survey and my impressions of the survey at this point. I think we have a school that's in real flux right now and needs some attention. And I think this survey will point out to you some of the areas that really need the attention, not only of the administration, but most certainly the school committee at this point. Okay? So I will leave this with Pat, if it's okay to approach you, Pat, give you this.
Can I have permission to speak? My name is John McClure. I taught at Pioneer for 28 years. Science department teacher. And I just wanted to point out that this survey was an anonymous survey. So you got really candid comments from the teachers, which is, I think, really critical. I reviewed it, and I was quite throttled by it, quite concerned. Specifically, I'm concerned about the use of online education to replace classroom teachers, the compression of core curriculum subjects so that class size will be larger, and the lack that would result in a decrease in the number of contacts that students will have with teachers that play a significant role in a child's education and their social and emotional development. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Karen O'Neill, and I live in Lyden. I had a 20-year relationship with Tyler as a science teacher, and I retired just short of 3 years ago. I've been sitting in on your school committee meetings for a year now, and I've only missed one for my 5th year high school reunion. I appreciate the effort it takes to carry out your responsibility. Not only to attend these meetings, but to do your own research, including being fully aware of district goals, policies, and missions, as well as those of the individual schools in the district, to perhaps attending a conference, which I know many of you did this year, to visit the schools and to listen to and respond to your constituents. First, I'd like to thank you all for the time you give in realizing, and I quote here from the district policy document, that your primary responsibility is to the children. Now, briefly, here are 3 concerns I'd like to raise tonight. It has been a while since the superintendent responses to public questions have been posted. The last date I saw was October of 2016. There have been questions raised since then. I particularly recall that there were some from the budget hearing and some from last week's school committee meeting. Last month's, excuse me. My concern is that public concerns may not receive a response in a timely manner. Number 2, in one of those October postings, the superintendent stated, there is currently no specific format for exit interviews. The administrative team will create a process for conducting exit interviews for all the staff that resign or retire. This was in response to a question originally posed at a school committee meeting last May. My concern is for the completion of this format and for making that format available to school committees, members, and the public. This is particularly important to have in place soon, since there seems to be a large number of teachers and other staff being laid off this year. And finally, in a year of so many curricular and proposed personnel changes, I'm amazed that the Curriculum and Personnel Subcommittee has held no meetings. The district policy states that this subcommittee, and I quote again, shall give preliminary review to all curriculum proposals, study programs, and course offerings prior to presentation to the full committee, as well as proposals for new personnel attached to such programs. The subcommittee will also establish suitable descriptions for work positions within the system. This all has been happening, no meetings, while the description of the duties of the full school committee states that a major function of the committee is curriculum, insofar as approval of courses to be offered and making decisions as to the general scope and nature of educational offerings. My question, why has this policy not been followed when so many changes have been proposed and some have even been implemented at Pioneer? It is my concern that has been left up to 1 or 2 administrators, one of whom is inexperienced in the implementation of curriculum personnel changes at a secondary school level. So the committee needs more information. Thank you for considering my concern.
So I'm Martha Parker, and I had my children go through this school, and I also work in a school district, but not this one. And I have just some minor concerns. They piggyback onto what Carol said. I'm still waiting for your feedback about my question last time about how money is accounted for in the budgeting process when people are in a budget but then are not hired or do not return, leaving that money unaccounted for. I would like to know about how that is accounted for in the budget for that year, the next year, and so forth. Because I'm not educated and I don't know. But it looks like there's, money been in the past budgets that hasn't actually been used to hire people. So I'm kind of curious about that. I continue to be curious about that. And my other question has to do with the curricular changes with the layoffs, if that's the right word, of the staff. And to my knowledge, a major part, like 2/3 of the English teachers have been laid off. So now there are going to be 2 next year as it stands now. And I'm wondering how the school is going to teach 6 grades of English with 2 English teachers. And that is like a big problem for me in terms of meeting the needs of the school district when there's so scanty amount of teachers teaching. And I would like to know about how that is going to be accommodated so we can have all the kids' needs met in a heterogeneous grouping, for 6 years and sustain our standard and our station in the community. In addition to this, I feel like the way this has all happened with very little consultation from the school committee to the school administrators, one of Ruth's goals stated when she started was to continue to have our school of choice kids coming in the greater community, and I don't know how that's going to happen when you have, for instance, 2 English teachers. I think it projects instability, and I don't think that's going to attract school of choice kids, which is one of the goals that you said you had to keep our population up. So those are the concerns that I have, and I would like more feedback on that so I can understand that better, because I'm really concerned about all the changes in the curriculum without review and with the staffing that we now have after the layoffs. So those are my concerns.
Thank you. Whichever you want, Dan.
All right. Good evening.
Could you introduce yourself?
I'm Dana McCrae. I'm a junior at Pioneer, and I'm here to introduce some concerns to the school committee on behalf of the high school student body. I reached out to the entire high school via email yesterday and spoke to many during our lunch periods and have received feedback from, I don't know how many, a lot of students in terms of what our concerns are, and I
very nicely communicated.
thank you. And I told my fellow students that I would speak to the school committee to present these concerns, and so that's what I'm here to do.
Thanks.
Dear PVRSD School Committee, my name is Dana McCrae. I'm a junior at Pioneer, and I'm here to speak to you on behalf of the PVRS High School student body to bring to your attention some of our concerns and to pass on some reminders of who we are as students and as a school. We are here to express our complete support of our faculty, who have suffered blow after blow over the past several months and have stayed true to their belief in providing us students with the best education that they can provide through it all. I would also like to say that I am not here to point any fingers. We stand as but a symbol of discontent in the minds of those that the school institution exists to serve. We are not any sort of revolutionary force, and we are going to express our concern in a civilized manner, as we have been taught to do our entire lives. I want to make it absolutely clear that I am in no way speaking upon request from anyone other than my fellow students and my personal need or feeling that I need to do what I feel is right. I was not asked to do this by any faculty member or any other adult in the building. And I took it upon myself to organize students and to present to you our concerns, and several of my classmates did the same. One of the greatest concerns of the student body, and one of the most blatant examples of change in school culture over the past year or two, is the lack of open communication regarding the motives and the nature of changes to the school. I still don't know the details of my principal and vice principal announcing their resignations midway through the 2015-2016 school year, and it seems I wasn't meant to. Students have not been told any of the names or the number of teachers that will not be returning next year to teach. And yet, in the midst of this mass exodus of educators, we are asked to think about which elective courses we will want to take next year. And I would just like to ask, how are we to choose our classes for next year when we don't even know who's going to be around to teach them? Sure, perhaps the primary focus of course selection should be based upon interest, which classes interest a given student, but I hope I can make clear that anyone who tries to make an argument that the teacher of a given course is not that course's most significant aspect to a student in the classroom is dead wrong. It is extremely difficult as students to be told that open communication is prioritized within the school, and that we can ask any questions that we may have to better understand changes in our school, but then have those questions, which are very frequently asked, responded to indirectly or not at all. And we understand that there are laws that restrict what administrators and other adults in the building can say to us, but this is no excuse for a frustrated student body. If the school is at a point where students are worried enough to be asking questions on that level that consistently, that administrators and other faculty members are legally not allowed to answer, then it would seem obvious that the school culture has been damaged. Furthermore, it is intensely frustrating as students to be informed about changes that are essential to our school experience long after the changes occur. The local newspaper knew about the resignation of Mike Dupree long before the vast majority of the school community did. We students were told that our class sizes would be condensed midway through the year, despite not losing any teachers at the time. And of course, we were very politely informed that we could ask any outstanding questions, but by the time they could be asked, the decisions had already been made. Students didn't even get a chance to participate in the conversation, and it would seem as if that's just the way it was intended. We aren't allowed to be told the names of the teachers that are leaving our school, so naturally, by now, the vast majority of the student body has a good amount of names from that list. It seems that the mindset of some students, or the mindset of many, is that we students should sit down and be good and focus on our ever-important studies while the foundation of our school crumbles in front of us. It has been made quite clear to the student body that those who are responsible for changes within the school want students to be completely oblivious to the nature of those changes, and that it is inappropriate and unprofessional for their teachers to provide them with any sort of clarification. As someone who has attended PVRS for 5 years now, I feel that I can speak to its unique and incredibly positive culture as well as anyone. The general atmosphere of the school has for so long been a safe and accepting one, where students feel as if the halls in which they walk each day are a place where they won't be judged or targeted. Students know what they can do if they need personal guidance or help understanding something that may be bothering them. And this is very largely due to the very close connections that students have been able to develop with faculty members. Students are comfortable enough relating with their faculty that they can seek guidance on personal issues and connect on a pure and human level with those working so hard to educate them, as opposed to viewing them as figures whose job it is to drill information into their brains. This is what is special about Pioneer. Every other public high school can offer any range of electives, online educational opportunities, or AP courses. And while all of these are important in their own way, they are not what make Pioneer unique. They are not what make it special. Pioneer is not like other schools. I remember hearing stories about new teachers entering the building that would be toured around, and I remember hearing stories about their shock that there were no locks on any of the hallway lockers throughout the entire building. The school is a community of kind-hearted and trusting individuals, each with a role to play. And if you are in search of selling points for the school and for encouraging enrollment, I would encourage you to look to school atmosphere and school culture rather than pure academic achievement, because that's what's special about our school. Students feel safe. They feel comfortable. They know who they can go to when they need help. What good is a student body that challenges itself academically and is able to take classes that fit its interests, but cannot collaboratively problem solve, or is blind to fundamental happenings of the school, or sees teachers as machines that simply deliver a curriculum, or simply receive the curriculum from the machine itself? My school and faculty craft critical thinkers, collaborative problem solvers, and change agents who know how to stand up for what they believe in, but are still open to understanding and considering other perspectives. The students and faculty in my school work tirelessly to help each other realize fundamental truths about their own identities, to truly help each other understand who they are, understand how others may be different, and still know that all of that is okay. I spoke at a school committee meeting earlier this year on behalf of the Pioneer. I was as a member of the Pioneer School Council. We were introducing the school improvement plan, and I remember making a statement somewhere along the lines of, I shouldn't be telling you what's best for us, you guys are the ones that know what's best for us. And I remember the answer to that statement, or your response, was a chorus of laughter. And I was told that as a student, I would be able to speak to what's best for students in terms of school atmosphere better than anyone else. If that's true, I would like to tell you one thing on behalf of all the students here tonight, as well as many others that have expressed their support but couldn't attend. It's not this. Losing almost a third of the school's faculty is perhaps the most destructive change that could possibly be made to the school. I know that the committee works hard to deal with the budget and with managing faculty cuts, and I appreciate your dedication and hard work greatly. However, if the amount of GCC dual enrollment forms currently circulating the building has anything to show for, it's that the changes being made and that have been made over the course of the past year or two are not healthy for students, such that they are chasing students out of their school. I see dual enrollment forms all over these days. There are people that want to get out of the school. There are teachers that want to get out of the school because of what's happening. And I understand that I can't create money and stick it in the budget to keep teachers. But what the school needs is not a rigorous and more diverse course curriculum. That is obviously important on some level, but it's completely pointless if the teachers that have developed relationships with their students and are thus capable of helping them understand the material are not present in the school. Pioneer needs its teachers more than anything else. This is not a corporation. These teachers are heroes, and they are the ones who are going to carry the school forward, not more AP courses or an online curriculum. They're human beings with a wide range of emotion, and their lives are being messed with. And that's not the choice of many of us, but that's the reality. These teachers know what they're doing, and showing them the door means dooming the positive and supportive school culture that has taken years and years to build. I don't want that. None of my fellow students want that. None of the faculty want that, I can assure you. And I desperately hope that none of you want that. The school that we as students want and have been a part of up until this year is one where those who manage it understand that the interpersonal connections that students develop, which lead to their developing extensive curiosity and critical thinking skills, are ultimately more important than pure academic achievement. Where the student who needs clarification on the lack of communication over changes in the school schedule doesn't have to worry about being brought in and questioned as to which faculty member told her to do so. And where teachers do not have to shut their doors and speak in hushed tones for fear of losing their jobs when responding to the questions of troubled students about the changes in their school. The point on which I would like to close is one that is simple yet imperative to the preservation of Pioneer's incredible school culture, as well as any hope of a healthy collaborative relationship between all sections of the school community. Education becomes meaningful when each person who plays a role in it, whether they be an administrator, a parent, a faculty member, or a student, is viewed as an individual whose infinitely wide range of feeling and positive contribution to their school matters as much, if not far more, than the money it may cost to have them be part of the system, or how good they make their school look through how they perform. This is not just a system with a budget. There is so much more to Pioneer than the way the money plays out. Faculty members are not machines that spew material from static curriculums that is to be absorbed by students. They're parents, authors, and students themselves who share a passion for preparing the adults of tomorrow to better understand their world and to improve it however they can. Students are not numbers. We are not MCAS scores that reflect the level of achievement in our school. We are all unique individuals trying to make our way through a key stage in our lives, and we are trying to do so collectively and with open minds. Education does not happen to us. We are active participants in it. And it is an ever-changing process that is different for every student. If there is anyone that thinks students will simply sit and be subjects of the institution that exists to prepare them for life in a changing world without applying focus to or giving input on the changes made within that institution, again, they are dead wrong. I'm not going to stand by and watch my school get ripped apart before my eyes. So I ask you, what's more important? Saving money or the future of more than 400 young adults? I and the rest of the student body hope that you make your decision wisely. Sincerely, the Pioneer Valley Regional School High School Student Body.
Thank you, Dana. That was eloquent, Dana. Thank you so much.
Hi, nice job, Dana. My name is Jen Knight. I am an instructional assistant in 6th grade in Bernardston. But I come as a parent of a 10th grader and a 7th grader. And Tuesday, my 10th grader came home with the course electives for this year, or for next year, I guess. And she was very excited, somewhat, about AP courses. She's going into 11th grade. And we went online because at the bottom of the course selections, it says, if you want more information, please visit the VHScollaborative.com catalog. And I'm just curious, who is going to be responsible for the $75 enrollment fee for AP courses if someone wants to take AP European History, as well as the $75 AP Biology fee, in addition to the $200 summer enrollment fee for AP Biology. So that's my only question, is who will be responsible for those fees? Thanks.
Are there any?
Yep.
Okay.
Hi, I don't know how many of you know me. I represent a school choice parent. And I'm
Introduce yourself, please.
Mary Davenport, and I'm mother of 4 children. Their names are the Casper girls. Some of you may know them. But we picked Pioneer for a reason. We looked at a lot of different school systems. And what just intrigued us about Pioneer and BES, and Leiden, actually, because I had one child that had to go to Leiden, was the intimate setting and the qualified teachers. We were looking for a very safe place to send our children that had an open-mindedness that I wanted to bring my kids up with. Pioneer, hands down, has that open-mindedness of accepting of all folk, all people. 2 of my girls have already graduated, and sometimes numbers talk. My 2 girls graduated with 4.0s and both receiving the Abigail Adams Scholarship for MCAS, Outstanding Achievement. Numbers talk. They had dedicated teachers to help them achieve their potential. Dedicated teachers like Mr. Colleen, Mrs. Colleen, there are so many to mention. But the small, intimate, dedicated teaching style that Pioneer represented helped them to get where they needed to be. One of my daughters is now a tutor, a student tutor for other kids. And I think Pioneer being the community it is, that all these kids are in classes together, middle kids, high achieving kids, and they help each other achieve. And she's learned so much to help her people achieve around her. And part of that is your dedicated staff. And part of that is the small environment, the intimate environment. And I think those of you who have been around town remembers when Pioneer lost their accreditation. And that's a long road to hoe to get it back. I think there's a school up in New Hampshire now trying to hoe that road of getting back their accreditation. And when you cut a third of a staff, you're digging deep into your accreditation status. And sometimes, you're gonna just shoot yourself in the foot. Because if it only means dollars and cents, you may lose school choice parents like me that picked Pioneer for a reason. I've still got 3 years to go. I still want my 2 younger daughters to have the same kind of experience, to reach their potential that my older daughters did. And this scares me. This scares me right now. And I think, yeah, the young man had suggested, oh yeah, dual enrollment, that's passing around, because this is scary to a lot of us. We picked Pioneer for a reason. I picked Pioneer for a reason. My husband and I came here for the dedicated staff. And yeah, short term, yeah, let's lay off a bunch of staff, and then maybe a couple years down the road when we need some staff, we're gonna hire a bunch of newbies. Newbies don't make your school work like it does now. You need your seasoned professionals that have been there, they know the kids, and they're there because of the kids. And I know several of these teachers that love their jobs, and they're here because they love their jobs. And I think you really, really have to think, 3 years down the road, what kind of school do you want to be represented in the community and the surrounding community?
Hi, I'm Mandy Boule. I'm currently the 7th grade English teacher at Pioneer, at least until the end of June. I think we all know that budgets are tricky and that sometimes cuts need to be made, but it concerns me where the actual spending of the budget is going. Things such as central administration moving into our building and spending tens of thousands of dollars potentially on air conditioning for those rooms. Right now we're down 14 teaching staff, including a guidance counselor, which leaves us with 1 guidance counselor for over 400 students. Sorry, I'm a little emotional. And you hear things like, $13,000, $14,000 raises for members of central administration. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is that, I'm blanking out. I guess that's about it, just where the budget is being spent. Students having to pay to take electives online when we're losing teachers at that cost. So I don't think that's best for our students, and I don't think that's best for our community. And I think we all care very deeply about what happens to all of these young adults.
My name is Madeline Valley. I am currently a high school senior at Pioneer Valley. I've been there all 6 years, as have my cohorts here.
I'm Sophie. I'm also a senior at Pioneer.
I'm Amelia Marchand. I'm a senior as well. We just want to specifically highlight the reiterating what Ms. Boule said, the cut in the guidance department. As a high school senior applying to college, this is a very stressful, chaotic time, and guidance has been there for me through the whole way, and I genuinely don't see that same kind of support happening with only one guidance counselor who's responsible for the entire school. And I really truly believe that this cut specifically on top of all of the other ones, they're all going to be incredibly impactful, but this will really have a huge impact on students who go to guidance for emotional issues, who go to guidance for choosing classes, who go to guidance for trying to go to college. They are there for everything for us, and they're incredibly essential in our school, and adding to one guidance counselor is literally doubling their workload isn't going to allow them to have that same impact on the students' lives.
I know we already have a problem with only having 2 guidance counselors, and it actually hasn't even been a year, but when my brother passed, it was a sudden thing, and I know, like, without teachers that were there, I probably would have dropped out of high school, and I would not have done as well as I have done. I would not have been able to go to college, and I just don't see that happening. And all of us students, like us speaking, like that should show you that there is a problem. Like, we're here, you guys are here for us. You wouldn't be here without us. Like, sure, there's other schools, but like Pioneer is Pioneer, and just like,
I would just like to reiterate everything that our fellow classmates, Dana and Sophie and Maddie, what they've all said. My father unexpectedly died in November, and I came to school the day of because I couldn't see myself being anywhere else except without my family, which is where I am for 8 hours, 10 hours practice. School is your life for about 6 years at least for this one, and I am a school choice student, and without these teachers I would not be who I am today. I'm the student council president, I am the National Honor Society treasurer, I've been accepted to a 4-year college, and I was not going to do any of this without the support of the students and the faculty, and to have 1/3 less love than I do have every day is hard to imagine. And I think that every single teacher and person at Pioneer has their own relationship and their own stories. And I think that they all deserve to be heard, and that we need to put more value behind them than what we're doing right now. Thank you.
I didn't plan on speaking tonight, so I'm a little, but I'm also vice president of our junior class, and I'd like to just bring up a couple points that have come into my mind and some minds of the peers around. I'm going to start with talking about Ms. Boule, who was the first teacher I had at Pioneer. She was my A block English class in 7th grade. So like the first class I had at Pioneer for my 5 years that I've been going here was Miss Boule, and she's not going to be there to graduate or to see us graduate. And she just mentioned that thing. I didn't think about it until right now, and that's pretty tough. And along with just Miss Boule going away, the number that has been given that I have heard through different sources around our school is 15 teachers. And in a meeting, a group, we had in the auditorium, what's it called?
Assembly!
Where Principal Bacon said to us that teachers can only teach the number of 5 classes per year. And she also, right along with that number, that statistic, that she spoke to us about the online classes, the VHS, the Edgenuity, all of the classes that they're going to offer for us. And that we're going to be taking them with teachers all across the world, and students all across the world. And to me, I don't want to take a class with teachers in Japan and India. I want to take a class with teachers that I know, like Miss Boule, Mr. Colleen, and Miss Brown, and just the number goes on. It's all every teacher at Pioneer. But my point is that for the 15 teachers that we're losing, I did the math right away. 5 classes per teacher is 75 classes. That they could be teaching 75 classes that this VHS and Edgenuity is taking away from Pioneer. And I don't want to speak politically, but taking our jobs away, they're literally taking their classes away from them with online classes from across the world. And that's just wrong. Another point I would like to bring up is that the relationship, back to what Daniel was talking about, the culture and the relationships that students have with teachers at Pioneer is just amazing. That you will find teachers that become sanctuaries and just safe places for students all across the school of all different cliques and social groups, social circles. They come together to these teachers because it's a safe environment and they enjoy the company. Not only that, but the teachers there connect with the students in a way that no teacher from Africa could teach us. You'll find in certain classrooms that students go there for lunch because they don't feel comfortable in the cafeteria with the other students, the environment, the faculty, just the all-around atmosphere of the cafeteria scares some students into going to classes that just feel safe and comfortable. And I think that's amazing. You'll find a single class with 20 kids in it, like an entire full class, every seat taken full of lunch trays because they don't want to go to the cafeteria. And I don't know. I don't think that's right. I guess to sum up my points are that at Pioneer, Dana's correct. The atmosphere and the culture is just amazing and something that getting rid of, this is what you're doing, this is what is happening. Getting rid of these teachers is taking away from them. The atmosphere will never be the same as of this year. Thank you.
Senior at Pioneer, and a lot of things have been said about the teachers who are going to be let go this upcoming year, but I wanted to speak about one specific person who has made a very big impact in my life, who is being let go, and that is the administrator that is being let go, and that's Ms. Hawkins-Harrison. And that woman, I love her so much. And I remember in 7th grade coming in and being like, everyone would tell you, oh no, the hawk. You have to watch out for the hawk. And keep your phone away, and you can't kiss your boyfriend or blow your boyfriend's hand in the hallway, the hawk's gonna come. And I remember being so scared. And I had actually known her all my life from coming to Pioneer with my father, and but I came and she made it comfortable for me. I walked in the hallway, and it wasn't the hawk. It was my mom. We call her Mom because she loves us like a mother. She cares about us like a mother. The 3 administrators that we had when I came to Pioneer cared about us so much that one of them actually came to a basketball game this past winter, and kids crowded around him because he was like a father to us. She is our last one. She is our last parent in this school. And you are taking that from us. I go through that hallway and she makes me feel comfortable. She makes me feel safe. I can go with her
I can go to her for anything at all. She knows what I did on the weekend. She knows what competition I was just in. She knows everything. She knows how I'm doing in my classes. And I can't say that about the other administrators. And I know that this is their first year, but I'm just sad that that's going to be taken away. And I think many other kids are sad about that too. Because not only are we losing teachers, but we're losing our role models. We're losing the people that we come to school for every day. We are losing the people that love us. You go home to your parents and you feel safe. Well, I come to school and I feel safe because of my teachers. I feel safe because of people like Miss Hawkins-Harrison. And I just think that should be thought about when you think about the budget and who should be leading. Thank you.
I'm a junior. I don't have to reiterate what my classmates have said because I completely agree and you're either going to listen or not. But what I want to say is my mother, her sister, and her two brothers all went to Pioneer in the 80s. They all loved it, all graduated with honors, were excellent model students. My mom specifically wanted me to go into Pioneer for my education. And I loved it, and it really made me grow as a student and as a person. And at this point, with what's going on at Pioneer, I have applied for dual enrollment, and my mom has also talked to me about switching schools if I decide not to do dual enrollment. I guess I can say that I'm disappointed in how Pioneer has changed. And, you know, I go to school with my mother's classmates' children, and I think if Pioneer decides to go ahead with their changes, a lot of people are going to, including me. Thank you.
I'm not going to come up, I'm just going to speak from here. My name is Tim Hoisington, I live in Northfield. I have 4 kids go through the school, some are still in the school. And I just want to say to the school committee and the superintendent that it seems to me that maybe, and you probably already are, but you're thinking of this whole thing in terms of a business. And what you need is you need students. And in order to get students, you need teachers. And if you think of it in business terms, okay, if the economy goes down, okay, the stupid thing to do is to do less advertising. You got to take your money and your scarce money and you got to put it into advertising. That's how you build your business up. And to me, advertising is the teachers, and that's where you should be putting your money.
And I had a son graduate 2 years ago, and I still have a son in Pioneer. And first of all, I'd like to say to the students, you guys are really very eloquent, and you've done a great job. My concern, I have many. You've heard the concerns that the students have and other faculty have about the cuts and the culture of the school. I would just like to expound on that in the sense that it is not just the culture of the students and the teachers and losing them and losing that. There has been, over the last, clearly a year, a gap in the culture of the administration and how they deal with the public and the parents. I've had numerous occasions over the last 6 or 7 months to try to reach out to the principal. It is nearly impossible to get a hold of her. I have been encouraged and pushed back that I'm not to speak to her. I'm to go to the guidance department. Her secretary will not pass through messages. Finally, when I did get through to the principal, my my concerns were not addressed in an appropriate way, I don't believe. So that kind of gap just breeds fear and animosity and among parents, what's going on in the school. I have searched online looking for the minutes from school board meetings. They're not up to date, nor is I might not have been able to find it. I couldn't find the budget. I was at the budget meeting, I believe it was last month, and when asked about the budget, our current superintendent indicated there were several questions that could not be answered. And when we're looking to make major decisions on curriculum and staffing, the one thing you should have in your back pocket is a solid budget and answers for people who have questions. So that's my
So I'm Hannah Ray, and I am a junior at Pioneer, which means that my last and most stressful year will be done next year. I have been told from a very young age by my mother that teaching is the most honorable profession, and I wholeheartedly agree with that statement. They give everything to students who they have for maybe 2 years if they're lucky, and then they just get to watch them go off into life and hope that they've given them all that they can. And that is a huge commitment, and it is under-respected and underpaid and undervalued for that matter. I am a very academia-centered student. I love to learn. My passion is to absorb information. And that made my teachers sort of my best friends, because I didn't really get along with people my age, so my teachers have always been my support system. The idea that those changes are happening without communication with us, and that the teachers themselves are not allowed to communicate with us, has been extremely difficult for someone of my standing. These people have changed who I am, and they've shaped who I am. They've created an almost full-grown adult who's trying to make her way through the world, and it's all them. It's all their influences. Now they're not going to be there for my sisters, who are younger than me, who I'm trying to blaze a path for, trying to leave a name for. I want my little ones to be able to look up and follow me, and they can't do that if they don't have the people that I had, or the environment that I had at very least. So I wholeheartedly back Dana McCrae's speech, because he has very eloquently encapsulated what the student body has to say. He was able to do that so well due to his natural talent and the fact that he had such great teachers.
My name is Ella Potee. I'm a freshman at Pioneer, and I had a brother who graduated 2 years ago. I have a younger sister in 7th grade, and I remember coming up as a 7th grader. I was the most anxious 7th grader you've probably ever seen. I actually had my mom draw me a map of the school because I knew I was going to get lost. And Ms. Hawkins-Harrison was my advisor. We have 5-minute advisory the first day of school, a little while to get to know everyone, get to know your new homeroom teacher. And she was there for me through that whole year. And just to elaborate on what Annalise said, she is there for every student. She knows every student's first, middle, and last name, and she cares for everyone in the school. And I don't think you're giving her enough of a chance to show you how amazing she is and how much she gives to this school. Along with every teacher there. I can honestly, I love Pioneer. I would never think of anywhere else to go, and I want to leave it in the best shape possible in 3 years. So thank you so much.
Excuse Wilton. I'm a senior at Pioneer. I recently got accepted to Oregon College.
Ryan, can you speak a little louder because we can't hear you?
Sorry.
Please.
It's just cool. So I'd like to speak on Edgenuity as a student of Edgenuity. I took Computer Science 1 with a practice instructor who was Mr. Zelneritis. Computer Science deals with coding and generating text to basically work computers. And although Mr. Z was a great teacher and does what he does great in communications, he didn't know anything about computer science, didn't know Edgenuity, because that was what he was trained to learn. I'd like to touch on something that a teacher told me, and it was his job actually teaching in the classroom is only 33% of what he actually does. And 66% of that is being able to take in what the students tell him and actually be able to connect with them and give them advice on what they can do. And I was a student that really, really struggled in high school. I was a hockey player and I played juniors for my whole life since I was 2 years old. And with the stress of hockey and school and just everything else, I even did band, I had to give that up. I would not be here at this school. I probably would have dropped out. And I can say that I got into the college that I wanted, and without the teachers that are able to connect with you, it's nothing. I cannot go to my instructor in Edgenuity and voice my problems to them, because that is not their job. Their job is to teach me, for example, what computer science is. And when I had a question related on code, I can't stay after school with a teacher that's over another country, a completely different time zone. And these teachers are there for you even 24/7. It's not just you can email them, they will get back to you in a reasonable time. There's teachers that aren't just there for you for the education, there's also the will to learn. There's the knowledge of learning and the will to learn. And these teachers provide that for me, and I can say for other students, because we would not be at Pioneer unless these teachers were here. And I really believe that that is our core of Pioneer. And I was a student that interviewed the vice principal and came up with questions for the principal. And my main concern was that Pioneer would still be Pioneer. And as lately, as a senior, I could leave with no worries, but I love this school. So I want to do something about it and voice my concern. There are students that are afraid to go to school next year, and they don't feel safe, and they feel safe physically, but mentally and learning, they don't, and they want to get out. And I, as a senior, feel that it's my responsibility for the students that will be coming here and furthering their education, that they have the best opportunity that they can. I believe that the teachers are the people that can do that. So getting rid of a third of the teachers who have been here, have connections with the students, make them feel safe, that is what I believe is important. And I know it's a money issue, but you won't be getting any more money when you're getting rid of these teachers who make the school what it is. So I guess that's what I have to say. So thank you.
I see 2 hands. I'll take those 2 and then we're going to stop.
My hand?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kristen Nicholas. I live in Leiden. My daughter's Julia. And I'm from New Jersey. I went to a school that was Center School. I love the Pioneer culture. I love how everyone through Julia's 14 years has made her grow as a kid. She has special needs. She has needed a lot of help. Here's my thing. I'm worried about my property values, because if the school goes down, my property values are going to go down. And I think it's short-sighted because people move to the area for the school. You have a shitty school, you're not gonna sell houses. I'm not a realtor, but I think you need to think about that. I'm sorry I said yes.
I just want to make sure everybody understands some facts here. And it is, I've just heard a lot about the VHS and the online learning, and I want to be clear what this is all about. I know the person took the Edgenuity class, and it says in the paperwork that I wrote up, the Edgenuity does not have a teacher behind it. That's more, Edgenuity is a little bit more for credit recovery, etc. But we talked about the VHS because the VHS does have a certified teacher behind it, okay? And when you look at those VHS courses, there's a lot of exciting courses. What I want to make sure you understand is in the budget, there's literally $5,000 for this. And so the person that asked the question, that is going to pay for all the fees. We're not expecting, if kids are interested in, we are not expecting you parents or the kids or anybody to pay for that. The $5,000 is set there for that. And it was set there to try it out, to see if anybody's interested. I was asked by a couple school committee members to raise that. If kids are interested in, we could take it to $10,000. Well, let me make it clear. What I really want to make clear is it was not the administrative intention to bring this in to replace teachers, because $10,000 sounds like a lot of money.
A lot cheaper than teachers.
Well, what I want to make clear is this was not brought in to replace teachers, and it's not going to replace teachers. There's only
How many kids can sign up for them?
Well,
if
if
25.
You can only do one per class,
25 out of
student.
400.
Yeah, if if you do just 5,000, you know, it depends on if it's AP courses or not, but you can get probably around 25 for the whole year. And that's it, you know, and so a couple of things about it is the opportunities, because there are diverse classes, just so everybody understands this, all kinds of classes that we couldn't think of offering all these different classes to our kids. So please understand that this was brought to the table as an opportunity for our students to take anything in their interest. And second of all, you know, when you get into college and when you get into the real world, there's a lot of online learning opportunities. And it's a different type of learning. So our three primary purposes were to give variety, so that if students were interested in this was all, I'm telling you, this was all about the students, not about getting rid of teachers. And that's just problematic for me, because that makes me feel so sad when I hear that. Like, that brings me to tears, that you think that we brought this in to get rid of teachers, which we did not. It was to give students opportunity to take anything in their interest. It was to give them that opportunity to understand how online learning works, so that when you get into college and if you want to take an online course, you're prepared for that. And the other one is you do get to meet people around the world. Now, if you're not interested in that, nobody's got your arm behind your back and saying you have to take an online course. But please, just let me say that in all earnestness, like, I was floored when I heard that, you know, people are upset because we're trying to using this to try to replace teachers. That just absolutely was not it. It was opportunities for our students. And quite frankly, you know, that's all I want to say. But I just want to say nobody's going to be charged if they take it. If nobody takes the courses, then we drop it. But it was not ever envisioned to get rid of kids, because even if you don't want to have it, I can drop the $5,000 out of the budget. It's not going to bring back a teacher. As students, you need to understand that, how little $5,000 is, but the opportunity that it allows you. And you can choose to take it or not. So, thank you.
where like we're not being filled in. Like we don't know that. Like we're putting things together, and like that's like completely new information, and like that's like comforting to hear.
Well, I tried to explain that at the thing, but I just kept getting interrupted. So anyways, please, it was not.
I'm just gonna like exit while saying this. So very short because we I'm walking out the door. So all the teachers here, you're only gonna get them. Like they're amazing teachers, and as I'm like starting to cry, they're the only ones that you're gonna get. They're incredible. So.
Review those. There's been a motion made. There's been a motion seconded by Deb. Robert, with the group.
Please stay around. Sometimes some interesting things happen at the very end.
All those in favor of these minutes? As Bill said, stay around.
It's good. How are you?
Excuse me.
Good. Hanging out with the pretty ladies.
If you're interested in the school, please do not leave.
Anyone that does want to leave, though, we're going to just not continue with our meeting until you leave, and then our meeting can continue.
Yeah, I think the woman just said if you're truly interested in the school, you need to hear their minutes. They were kind enough to hear our minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, so the minutes have been approved and voted on.
Can you speak up, please?
Moving on to the accounts payable and the expenditure reports. These are both in yellow and melon. If you have any questions, please review them, and questions need to be sent on to Ruth because she has all the answers. Signing of warrants are going to be circulating. Treasurer's report is next on our packet.
Now speak up.
As much as I can speak up. Come down in front, there's a few seats.
Okay, can you hold on for a minute so people can move up?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
That's right, it's just my daughter. Okay.
It's your daughter? Yeah, she looks like you.
Bill's, or should I
does.
say it's Bill's husband, that's why.
Daughter is better.
And these 3 seats here probably aren't going to be used, so if anybody wants to grab those, feel free. Can you lead us through this revenue or the treasurer's report? Or
It's the same as it's been from month to month, so
Okay.
if people have questions on
Okay.
the changes, that would be fine.
It looks like we've gotten our first, second, and third payments of the town assessments were received in February, so we're all set on those. School lunch report there is January, February, and I think I saw March. Is Gail here?
No, she's not.
Okay. Is there anything different on the school lunch report that you?
It's the same as it's been. It's running about the same as it has always been.
Okay.
We're still significantly.
Sorry, Ruth, we can't hear you.
We're significantly in a deficit still with our food lunch. There is not a substantial amount of change.
Do you want to?
Is this a call-out
Yeah.
session?
We don't have on our agenda.
Can I ask, A, how it got that bad? B,
Oh.
what have you done to address it? C, why in the last 3 months, if you have addressed it, has it been getting worse?
Okay, so we got that way because all of a sudden, kids have to have lunches, and the money that came in was less than the money that went out, basically. Yeah, hold on. The meal plan was addressed, and in the fall of last year, meals started being prepared in the 2 larger elementary schools and passed out to the 2 smaller elementary schools. And there is a plan in progress to have that happen this year at a greater schedule, but it really hasn't been finalized yet. And it continues to happen because the first thing didn't work, and we've got to, how we go about doing it is still, it's Gail's baby, and she's not here tonight, so.
Well, I can let
Yeah.
them.
This has been going on for a number of years. Historically, and I have this information from Pat at previous meetings, so you can go back in the minutes and look, but at one point, as a budget-saving measure, in order to retain other things in the schools, it was decided that the school lunch program would be self-sufficient, so that instead of paying the school lunch, the kitchen staff as part of the district staff, they were expected to be paid out of the school lunch profits. Then the nutritional requirements, which is what Pat was referring to when she said children suddenly need lunches. It's not that children suddenly needed lunches, it's that the nutritional requirements required by the federal government in order to have any funding from the federal level changed. The plans that have been put in place for the last few years have reduced the increase of deficit. So the deficit is still going up, but it's going up much slower than it had been before the changes that were made last year. And the goal is to, as she said, to continue to make changes to try and bring that to the point where we're not losing money, at which point, hopefully, we can start eking away at this debt. Originally, when we looked at the budget process, we wanted to put money in the budget towards working down that debt, but as you have probably realized at this point, we have no money for anything.
Jeannie? I know Gail isn't here to address this question. I recently heard that they were cutting back the kitchen staff in Bernardston down to 1 person. I personally can't support that. They serve as many lunches as Northfield does, and it's my understanding they also have to do dishes in between, which they have to be done in a sanitary, proper manner in order to serve more students. So I personally won't support cutting that down to 1 person.
Could I speak? Could I speak?
Let's get the committee first, and then you can, yes.
The assistant superintendent has shared various scenarios for eliminating that debt with the committee, and I've been quite attentive to them. There was some serious opposition to transporting meals and some adjustments made, but currently the hemorrhaging, the loss in the lunch program is about $50,000 a year, and the $200,000 plus figure, I think it's like 215, 220, is slowing. The plan that Gail has developed will save $90,000 over the next 2 years, over fiscal year 18 and 19, and not fully implement the central kitchen idea, but still save about the amount of money that we're losing. When I came on this committee 2.5 years ago, I asked about the school lunch deficit, and I was told by then superintendent that this was pretty normal practice and a lot of schools did it. Our 2015 audit was quite critical of this practice, and the board knows that we've got to address this. I asked that there be a budget discussion on the agenda. It's in the minutes that we just approved, so it didn't happen. If we could do that next month, I would much appreciate it, because we aren't done on the budget. We've asked towns for an assessment. Some of the towns are saying they're not willing to give us an increase in assessment. If that happens, if what Northfield and Bernardston are proposing, we have another $360,000 in cuts. If Bernardston and Northfield's town meetings go with their finance committee recommendations. That's just the tough place we are in. But it's not appropriate to have this thing off to the side and be losing money, and we all realize it, and we're trying to find a way out of it.
I speak to the committee.
Go ahead.
So, I didn't bring the information that I have right now to tonight because I knew it was going to be kind of hectic, and there's a lot of information. I've been working closely with the Department of Labor, had an extensive conversation with our representative today because our E&D came back as a negative $86,000. But there's so much more to that picture, and there's a lot of reasons. And it goes back, he went all the way back to 2008 with me and kind of walked through what our starting budget was, what we ended up with, why we had, in that period of time, we had negative E&D for a while. So the conversation I had with him helped, I think, and I think that I have a plan going forward that the Department of Revenue is, I don't know if it's okay with, he is supportive of. I have gotten a letter from the Department of Revenue. They're really not happy, but I don't want to go into the details tonight because just wait. I want to get you the information ahead of time so you can look at it, and then we can talk about it and discuss it at the May meeting. I think given the hour and where we're at right now, it wouldn't be appropriate, but I wanted to, so you come back next meeting so that you can hear, and I think it's going to be like a broader financial package, and it's not just the lunch deficit that's an issue, which I discovered today, which I wasn't, I didn't realize that. It's not all doom and gloom. I mean, I think it's just not, but I think this is better for the May meeting, if that's okay with the chair.
It was
Okay.
2010 when we changed over and, as Robin stated, decided that we would have the lunch program self-sustaining. So it's been 7 years to build up.
That's what I joined.
Yes.
Okay, just a couple quick numbers, just so, I don't know if you guys are aware of how many kids are eating in each school.
We get that number.
Okay, it's on the report that you
Yeah,
passed out.
right.
If you look at Bernardston Elementary School, and they're making Pearl Road Elementary Schools lunch at this time, is that correct? That would be
Yes.
128 meals on average daily in January. If you look at PVRS, average daily is 119. Now, if you look at the staff that's gonna be here next year, if you're asking one person to make the meals for the average daily, that's more than what Pioneer's doing, with, I believe, 3 people working in the kitchen and 2 cashiers, it's a total of 5, and you're gonna have 1 person here and 1 person over in Northfield to make lunches. I think there's, somebody needs to look at the numbers and see what they're gonna do about that.
Yeah, Gail, our assistant superintendent, is the person that's in charge of this lunch deal.
I understand
And she-
being contacted there.
And I don't think she's got things finalized yet. I think we're still sort of juggling, trying to figure out what we're gonna do,
So
so.
with the numbers, the self-sustaining, are you trying to say that you're trying to run the kitchen as a business and you think it's gonna be self-supported? Is that what you're saying?
No,
No,
we're not
it
saying that
hasn't.
at all. Not at all. What we're saying is that we have a larger, broader financial issue in the district. Nobody's happy about it. Some of the things that have happened is a result of that, but it's not a result necessarily of this committee's work. It's about where we've come from, not pointing fingers at anybody, and working with the Department of Revenue to kind of meet the goals and benchmarks that they're setting for us. This isn't something like, okay, we'd be maybe fine leaving the deficit, but we're not allowed to.
I understand that.
So
but
what
it
I'm
just
saying
seems
is,
like
it's a comprehensive, including the lunch, and that is absolutely not a defined program at this time.
My thing is that this doesn't seem like the numbers that are on here are that clear. I understand that they're still being worked on by Gail, but the numbers, the way I look at it, just don't seem to be quite lined up with what's going on. So that's my only concern in the lunch count per school. versus what you're gonna have here versus what you're gonna have at Pioneer Valley.
Totally.
In Northfield and Bernardston. Thank you.
Okay, I think we still
I
have.
hope so.
Do we still have some students that want to talk about a solar project?
Did they stay? Or did they leave?
Did they leave?
I hope. Did they leave? I hope
Did
not.
they leave?
Hope not, because I really wanted to hear about their solar project.
I know.
Chairman?
Yes.
A related subject, the district signed a net meter credit purchase agreement for Warwick School, which is the only campus that's in the National Grid service area. And those credits will start flowing, and we'll see, is it 20% discount you
Yeah.
negotiated?
May.
We'll see 20%
Yeah.
discount beginning in May at Warwick School.
Excellent.
And this is the way that solar projects are monetized today. You don't buy the power. The producer pumps the power into the grid, and then they sell net meter credits, which are financial instruments worth $1, like a gift certificate to pay your electric bill. In order to sell these things, they sell them at a discount. For all of the town of Warwick's electric needs, we were able to get a 22% discount. The district didn't work quite as fast, so the developer wasn't quite as incented to discount, but that's 20% off the electric bill. And we should look at that option. Of course, owning our own, this side of the
Yeah.
meter cuts out half of your electric bill, because you don't have distribution, transmission, and partridge and pear tree charges, you just have power. So, let's hear from these kids and see if we
I
can
don't
find a
see
way.
Betty
Well,
Whitcomb.
another meeting if they're not here.
Is Betty Whitcomb still here, or did she leave?
Betty was here, and I think she had a difficult time hearing and has left.
Okay,
Um,
And
all right,
from what we can tell, there aren't any designated students.
okay.
All
Can we
right.
put this on the next agenda?
Maybe
Yeah.
we can have them tell us about it next month. I can understand.
Yep.
We have, our old business is a central office move. Would you like to speak to that?
There's nothing firm at this moment. My understanding is that there were votes. The school committee had made a vote to allow, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, sorry.
No, it was just easier.
Oh,
for
yeah, I
me to do
know.
this way.
And when we first reorganized, and they gave the power of making a decision to the subcommittee, and said that it didn't have to come back to the full committee. Didn't bring those minutes. And the subcommittee made a vote to actually go somewhere into Pioneer. The decision of where wasn't voted on. And so those votes took place, and those were both legal votes. So it was my interpretation that it would be up to the superintendent to determine with the staff in administration at the high school exactly where would be the best place for them to go. So that's where I thought we were, and we would move forward. In addition to that, Tim got our new facilities director, looked at the mold report, and there was a company that was recommended to do the mold abatement in that report. He brought that person down to the modulars the other day, and he said, we're thinking that there's a possibility of being able to use whatever that name of that machine was, which I'm not really good about this stuff.
Ionization something.
It's ionizing, okay, that would rebate it. And the man laughed, and he said, that can't happen. He said that what the process was, you would have to clean everything out of the modulars, and you'd have to fix the area that was damaged by the, however it was constructed. You would have to take the insulation out of the attic of the ceilings, you'd have to pull up the carpets, and you potentially might have to change the ceiling tiles. All of that would cost a substantial amount of money. His recommendation, which is somewhat laughable, was what you need to do is just take off the top and just stick build on the foundation, because the foundation is in great shape, which is exactly what the feasibility study had recommended. So at this point, because of the budget being so tight and not budgeting any money to stay where we are, because that would be unrealistic to use money in that way, we thought the best route to go was into the high school and to have a zero cost to that, with the one exception of we have to pay $500 to have the copying machine move, because if it breaks while we move it, then we're going to own the damage and repairs that are required. So there are 3 spots in that high school, that or 3 or 4 that have electricity, air conditioning. I think that it takes not a decision tonight again, but I think I can safely say that we could find appropriate space for the central office that would not at all affect students and teachers. And again, I'm not prepared to have that conversation tonight at this time. I think that getting you some information about it, and again, talking to the people in the building and making sure that that makes sense. But I'm confident that, with where we are now, that we could do that.
I had one concern about that, and perhaps my information is incorrect, but I was told that those rooms were the air-conditioned rooms, and I was told that those are also the rooms for the kids' computers, and they're there specifically.
No, you did have misinformation. That's not true. That is one of the areas, but some of those, but not, no technology room would be touched.
I don't know if this is sort of the place to air this, but it sounds like there's a couple of options that are being considered, and you need to talk to people in the building. Could I just suggest that maybe some students might be included in that group that helps make those decisions?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, I think that makes sense.
Students be part of the process.
Madam.
I had a question as far as
David has his hand up.
the final approval. I thought, and I could be poor recall from our last meeting, but I thought ultimately the Building and Grounds Committee would still have to approve the final decision.
As David is chair, and your question,
Is that
David?
correct?
Yes, I wanted to report that yesterday I met with the chairs of the select boards of the 4 towns on this matter. Tim was involved, Gail and Ruth, and I think that they should be represented too. So I'm just going to tell you what they think. And that is unanimously that this is a no-brainer. Take the lowest cost approach. We don't have any money. What are we fighting over? That was their sense.
Okay. Alex, I see your hand and I see your hand. Oh, sorry about that.
Sorry, but the modules, talking about the modules, it seems as if they're unusable except for the foundation, correct? Well, I was browsing the website with my mom the other night, and she found that you're attempting to sell the modules for any reasonable offer, and literally any reasonable offer, and that just seems really interesting if you can't use the modules except with foundation.
So
If you
would you
wanna buy
like
them.
would you like to?
No, we just want you to move them.
So it might be in your budget. We put it on Craigslist. We have tried everything, hoping that someone would want them, and ultimately this is the issue. The way the cost of moving them to another location is really beyond what people are willing to do to take them. That's the issue. But we have had offers that they would charge us $80,000 to $100,000 to take them away for us. So that's kind of where we're at. It's not a good position, but thank you.
Just very briefly, I don't believe that if the students and teachers can operate in classrooms and rooms that do not have air conditioning, I don't think that the headquarters, or whatever you would call it, I'm sorry, needs air conditioning.
You want to?
Could I,
Go ahead.
please?
David?
I would like to point out that our administrators do not get the summer off. They work.
All right. You had your hand up?
No,
Yes, this is on a
Yeah.
totally different topic for just a moment. I think that in the year 2017, microphones have been around for many, many years. And I think it's unconscionable of the school committee to not put microphones in the meetings, especially since we've been having a large number of people coming to the meetings. You all have very soft voices. We are in terrible acoustic rooms, and I think that I would like to make the request that we have microphones for each of the school committee members and for people who are speaking from here on in. I really don't think that it's a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify, Ruth, did you say that we could do this with no money? Besides the moving of the
$5,500.
copier?
Yeah,
So that's very different than the ideas that I've been hearing prior to now.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. No,
Okay.
I was
You did
never a
say
fan
that.
of spending money
Yeah.
on this. If you, I didn't put any money in the budget for it because I thought we could do it without spending any money.
Because I was hearing, $30,000.
I agree.
Carpeting.
Right.
Okay.
No carpeting.
Right, no,
Okay, okay.
no, no, it really, and I'm confident we can do it in that.
I'm just joking.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, one last person.
In addition to the computer rooms that may or may not be taken over to
They won't be.
get a new office, there's also science classrooms that are especially equipped with power.
They won't be touched.
All right.
Kathy H., and that's it.
So, I think what I'm hearing in your deliberations is that this decision is moving to your Building and Grounds Committee? And will those meetings or the next meeting be publicly posted so that other people could attend and make recommendations or suggestions?
Yeah, they
have to be.
They have to be
Call
Will
the
it be
posted.
on
Attorney
the
General if
website?
they're not.
Because posting it on the bulletin board in the main office at Pioneer isn't effective enough.
No, that's not.
If they're all posted right on the main webpage, it should be.
Okay, I'm just double
They're-
asking because I'm thinking there might be some people who
That's fine.
might like to come.
Good
That's
idea.
fine.
Moving on to new
Okay.
business. We have had, as our general counsel, the same people for as long as I can remember, and that's a long time. And they've been charging us $300 a month for unlimited monthly charges for our attorney fees. And because there's retirement in the family, and they're having to hire somebody to do the job of the senior partner, they're gonna have to start charging us $1,000 a month. Like schools, they're charging about $1,500, so we're still getting a pretty good deal. We haven't budgeted the money, but we're gonna have to come up with it somewhere because they're certainly worth it. It's the Dupreys, and we've had them as counsel for a long time. So, do we need to vote that? or
But it's a
just-
financial thing, yeah, you're gonna
Yeah.
have to vote it.
So we need a motion to pay these guys if we wanna keep them on. Yes.
I would like to know what other law firms are available and what their actual price is. This is a huge, we're going up, that's $12,000 a year that we don't have in the budget.
Okay. I don't know,
Can I
but,
speak?
sure, David.
The
I'll speak after.
Dupre firm was Warwick's town council for 8 of my 10 years there. They charged us $1,200 a year, as they charged the district $3,000, $3,600 a year. We had a contentious zoning case. We were the only municipality Dupre had. The sons and the father met, they decided they didn't want municipal business, and they asked me to find new counsel. I found competent counsel in Lee, Massachusetts, and the bill popped to $4,000. And that was the best deal I could find for competent counsel. So this is very reasonable, and I would note that it does not cover litigation, but it covers everything else.
everything.
Excuse me, David, when you say 4,000, that was $4,000 a month?
A year.
A year.
We
A
went from
year.
1,200 a year with this same firm that we're being asked to pay more money. I've worked with Fred, Russell, and Adam for the last 10 years. They're really competent. This is still a very good deal.
But did you say you found another?
I had to because they said that zoning was not their forte, that they had no other municipal clients, and they did not want to learn at our expense and at their expense for the kind of I mean, lawyers do a lot of stuff over and over and over and sell it like it's fresh, right? But if they
I was just
specialize,
trying to get the figures
by the way,
straight,
full
my friend.
disclosure, Dupre is still Warwick's labor counsel. If I have a labor issue, they're on retainer. And so we not only hired a new attorney, we kept them in the fold.
I spoke to Glenn Kuchar, who visited us a couple weeks ago, about the same issue to see if this was unreasonable after having spoken to Russell Dupre. And he said, hold on to him for that amount because other schools of our same size are costing probably once and a half the same price a month. So it sounds like we've got a pretty good deal. Even though it's up tremendously, it's not up as much as it could be.
It's a tremendous deal, but we still don't have the money for it.
Exactly.
So,
But we can't go without legal counsel.
I'm not saying to go without legal counsel.
So, has there been a motion?
I move that we accept, excuse me. I move that we agree to pay the $1,000 per month commencing July 1st to general counsel.
Okay, is there a second?
I second the motion.
Any new discussion?
I do.
Yes.
I saw David's hand go before I started.
So we're gonna authorize this. Are we taking it from new money we haven't identified yet, or are we cutting something else?
Well, I remember that we put some money in for moving, and if we're not gonna use that moving money, that should help a little.
That money's gone. We don't have any money for moving. So
I
sorry.
was
It was one of the things we
dreaming
had
on
to
it.
cut.
Yeah.
The custodians were gonna do it for free.
Am I also correct that a member of the law firm is also on the school, with their own
He's
school
on a-
committee
yeah,
and they have
yeah.
quite a bit of expertise in that?
Right.
Yeah, it does.
Robin?
Can I just, I mean, this is commencing July 1st. There is no reason that we could not research further and see if we could get a better deal between now and then. Is there? I mean, is this a year-long contract that we're about to sign?
Yes. I would imagine.
Or is
We
it a
don't
year-long
have to-
contract on
we
July
don't have to
1st?
vote tonight.
We don't have.
No, we don't have to vote tonight.
They do represent a huge number of school
They
districts.
do.
Can't hear you.
She said they do represent a huge number of school districts. Could I speak again?
Sure.
In my work with nonprofit schools, we're in the habit of paying counsel $325 an hour, hourly basis. And these are schools that serve special needs kids in residential settings. And our attorneys are $325 an hour. They don't just take a retainer and invite us to the smorgasbord. It's billable hour, billable hour, billable hour. This is a deal. I wonder what Bernardston pays for town council.
5,000 in our budget for the year.
On a budget of
5
million.
5 million.
So we're 3 times that, and we're talking $12,000.
And we haven't had an increase.
Right.
And we haven't, not in years.
Sue, you had your hand raised.
There's a line item in the budget for the school committee, $25,000.
Oh,
getting
that's the
that.
audits in there.
Okay, I was just wondering.
The audits
because
in there.
Not
No,
all
we don't
that
get
has
it.
been, not much of that has been used.
No,
The
it
last
hasn't, no,
report that
but
I looked.
it's
Yeah,
gonna
so I
be
didn't
used,
know if
yeah.
it was encumbered, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the motion still on the floor?
It is.
It is, yep.
It was not seconded.
I asked
Yes, it
for
was.
discussion.
Yes, it was.
Oh,
It
it
was
was
seconded.
seconded.
I didn't hear it.
I asked for
I didn't hear it.
discussion after the second. Is there anything else? Sue?
I remember at a school committee meeting, people saying, when something comes up that's new, they'd like to think about it about the next time. I'm wondering, given that there's still questions, can we wait?
That's what I was getting at, yeah.
David?
We have pink slipped a number of teachers. This is a law firm that specializes in labor law, and I don't think this is a good time to change horses.
But is it going to do any harm at all to wait and vote on it in May? They're still on retainer until the end of the year.
They might take it as an opportunity to say, do find someone else. That's what they told me at one point. Please find someone else.
So I talked to Russell. I talked to Russell today. He's very nervous about you potentially saying no. When his father, he decided to retire, he is taking on the law firm essentially, and he's going through all of this, and he was like, could not believe that we were paying $300 a month, where he makes $300 to $350 an hour, and he's been coming to our meetings. And so he's also looking at, this part of the state is declining. And so, I think they're starting to get more business toward the middle of the state, maybe the eastern part of the state. We had a very candid conversation. This is the best deal he's going to give you. So if you want to look around and see if somebody else will, and you may, I don't know, but what I'm saying is that he's honorable, and he legitimately, he really wanted like $1,500 a month, and I'm like, there's no way we can do that. But given the amount of time that he talks to us and gives us information, and he's always available, and he does give good information. I just wanted you to have that piece of information and he called me today to ask me. I said, I think there'll be, it's on the agenda. I think they're gonna vote on it. I'm not sure. And would it ruin things if you waited? No. So you can either go either way. I just wanted you to have that piece of information.
Martha?
I just wanted to say, I think it's valuable to wait on an issue, like Sue said. When you have the expectation of your additional research will come up with something more clear or better. I don't know. I know, Pat, you've talked to people, and it seems from the discussion that there's no real expectation we're going to get a better deal.
Exactly.
I mean, I guess that's what I'm saying. That's my feeling on it.
To wait. I'm going to go around the table this way, because there's no easy, I don't know who
My
went
only other thought is
first.
I'm just uncomfortable voting on it when we still don't know how we're gonna pay for it.
Well,
Well, we're gonna have to find a
Deb?
way anyhow.
So, in regards to cost, old school, new school. In regards to cost, there was Mr. Older Dupree, Younger Dupree. The first Dupree, the older, was used to making money in a different time frame. The younger Dupree is used to making money also in a different time frame. They do not coincide. I deal with lawyers very often in my job, and they're not gonna work for free. So $50 for a phone call to just make an inquiry is what we get. So I can go on with some other costs. I just was talking to somebody who needed a closing attorney for drafting a deed, $1,100. Probably takes them half an hour. So that's all I'm saying.
Jeannie?
I think we're all aware that lawyers are extremely expensive. My concern is that I would like to put off voting till next month, till we know where in the budget this money is coming from.
Okay,
I'd like to call the question.
all right. There is a motion and a second on the floor to approve this figure. So your vote will mean that you approve this figure immediately. And if it fails, then we'll have to have another. All right? Clear as mud?
Clear.
Okay.
So a no vote
Yes?
doesn't mean you wouldn't entertain it at another time?
Exactly.
Okay, so, wait. So we could come back to this next month and say, no, wait, we changed our mind?
No, we would come back, if it gets voted down.
If it gets voted down, then we would, then
We
we
have
would
to
come
find a
back
new lawyer?
another month and we would do some more work.
If it gets voted on, it does not start until, that's the new retainer starting in
Right,
July.
Right.
That's right.
So a yes vote's a new retainer?
Yes. A yes vote is for the $1,000 a month retainer beginning the
Starting
new
in
fiscal
July
year.
Right.
1st.
And committee know that if yes passes, we have budget work to do. But we have budget
We
work
have
to do
budget
anyway.
work to do anyhow.
Right.
Okay, so all those in favor of this $1,000 a month? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I am 8, so that passes.
You wanna call for no's and abstains?
Okay, opposed? Because we need it for the records. 1, 2, 3. 3 no's, abstentions? Nobody,
There's one
everybody
member
voted.
not here.
Yeah, and Sharon isn't here. District accountability status. What's that?
Oh, again, given the hour, I think it would be best to talk about this, but the state puts out accountability data on all of the districts in the state, and we had some significant great news with Warwick Elementary School, really once again just moving up significantly in the rankings. I think it was like 240 out of 940-something schools. For a little school, they're just doing phenomenal. In fact, Elizabeth told me the state called her at one point to ask how she got those math scores so high. And, yeah, so it's just really nice. And Pioneer as a whole was, I think it's, I think they were 4 stars as well, which was as a whole district. It's extremely well. The thing that I'll bring to you next week is, or next month, that if you look at the surrounding schools, they do not come close to what Pioneer is. They just don't come close. It is a really, really good district. And like the kids say, I credit a lot of it to the teachers. They've been here, they do what they need to do. And so we have work to do, but there is some bright spots, there really is. And I have to say that that measure is only one measure, and that's a measure of MCAST, which for the elementary schools, it's a little bit of a higher bar. For Pioneer, it's not quite so much as a higher bar because the testing stops in 10th grade. But I think regardless, I think it's something that we should be proud of and build on that, that success. But I'll give you more details next time.
Okay, great. So our next item is Superintendent Evaluation. There's some timelines here, and I didn't even ask Robin, but
That's okay.
when we can can we get together
Yes.
and calculate those? Okay. So what I'd like to do is for people to get their evaluations, and do you have those for?
They've all gotten them electronically. I
Okay.
have 3 copies I brought with me.
Okay.
And there's more at the office, but I
Okay.
didn't know who actually wanted paper and or needed it.
I do.
I do too.
Who else?
Okay,
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think everybody maybe, who doesn't want a paper copy?
I already have
Deb?
one.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. Okay,
Um,
so
so-
4 don't, so.
Huh?
Sue, do you want paper?
Yeah.
I do.
I'll make you one.
Just a quick,
I don't mind doing
last
everything
point.
electronically.
There's a Toyota Salona outside with lights on that might be dead by the time of this.
That sounds like me.
Oh, no. Thank you so much. Oh, boy.
David would be walking to Warwick.
So, do you want to pick them up, because they'll be all set in the central office, is that, or is that easier to, want me to leave it at Northfield?
No,
Do you- You'll pick them up? Okay. And there's
Could you
three.
leave them at Pioneer for
There's,
me?
I could leave it, there's three here that are just in a stack. So 3 lucky people can take it, the other
I
people
would
that can.
love to take it because my timeline to get over to the central office is very
Okay, so
short.
you can take one.
I can
Thank
swing
you.
by
And I'll
tomorrow.
drop, yeah.
I can swing by tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, perfect.
It's, how much further is it for me to get to the elementary school?
Not hard.
Just leave
So-
one in the main office of Pioneer
Okay.
for me if you can.
So what I would like is to have people fill out those forms and get them back to me or the central office by May 10th. Between the 10th and the 25th, Robin and I are going to get together and sort of figure out what, correlate everything, figure out what we're doing. And then we'll review the evaluation with Ruth and the rest of the committee on the 25th. Does that sound right? And then sometime between the end of, or our May meeting and the scheduled June meeting, we will have, either at our June meeting or at a special meeting, we will have to decide whether we want to vote or not to enter into negotiations for a new or extended contract with the superintendent. And on the 25th, we'll have to decide what dates we want for that.
On the 25th or at our next meeting?
The 25th is our next meeting. 25th of May is our next meeting.
Oh, okay, it was just,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
It's at 7.
Yeah, but you were saying,
And
you were
you're
saying the
in
10th
Leiden.
and all that. Are we in
Any
Leiden?
savior?
On May 25th.
I think it's gonna be
yes,
okay.
we're
Okay,
on.
so we're in Leiden that day. So you had some stuff that you could sort of read us. Sue's done a lot of work on sort of explaining to us how to do evaluations, because the last time it was sort of like, oh, what do we do? And when we went through Dale, she sort of helped us through. So I think that with your guidance, maybe it won't be quite so overwhelming.
Well, I'll tell you what my thinking's been. I've been evaluated in this system a lot because I'm an educator. And when I looked at the evaluations that you all filled out, I felt like I could feel the angst of people who aren't used to that 62-item document, and yet want to do a good job with it. You know, only 9 out of 12 people filled it out. For some people, it was whole sections of it were left blank because they felt like they couldn't really, they couldn't say, you know, on certain items. So I'm gonna pass around a document that I made for us to think
Thank
about.
you.
This is basically the result of me going through the whole document and saying, what is each rubric asking? What is each item asking us to think about for Ruth? And you'll see that it's color-coded, and there are a few extras so we can pass it out. And there aren't very many, in my opinion. There's the yellow ones are the ones that the school committee would have the knowledge to address on its own without anyone else's input. The pink, and you can see there's a lot of pink on this, is all input based on experiences that administrators have had with Ruth. The blue is community elements that we can't judge. They're based on community experiences with Ruth. There are a couple that seem to me to be sort of faculty-based, but I would love to suggest that while we all do our best with the document, which is complicated, that we also include the administrators, if there are administrators here. A lot of what this document addresses is the work that Ruth does with her principals. And we don't know that work, and she can provide to us a self-evaluation of her work with her administrators, which she does. But I think I'd really love to hear from the administrators about that. I don't feel qualified to comment on that in evaluation, and I don't really think it's appropriate for people to. And that said, there is an entire section of the superintendent evaluation that's related to the community. It looks like that, you know, there's words at the headings for some of these that make it seem like it should be a community item, and when you read what it's really about, it's not necessarily a community item, but there are a bunch of community items in here. So I did create a little community evaluation that teases out the pieces from the evaluation that relate to community input. And I would like to suggest that we let the community give us some feedback on some of these things. One of them is ethical behavior. The other one is community and business engagement, family concerns, policies and practices, communication, and consensus building. I spent a long time with it. I think it would be a more comprehensive and more meaningful evaluation if we did it this way. This is electronically on my computer. I can share it with people. I also have a lot of copies. If we decide to go this route, people could just mail it to Robin or Pat. So it would expand the input for the evaluation, and it would, I think, put the proper people giving input in proper sections. And basically, I would request that administrators fill out as much of it as possible, because there's a lot of it that relates to them and their work with Deb? Yes. Deb also said to me at the very beginning of the meeting tonight, you know, Sue, you just came on. Are you planning on doing this evaluation? And I have thought a lot about it. I've looked at this document for many hours, and I said to Deb, well, I've been very present to this committee for a couple of years now, and I've been very present to the high school, very engaged, and I would like to participate. If this committee feels that that's not appropriate and you want to vote accordingly, I'm fine to sit out and just support the process. But I would like to participate. The other thing I just want to make clear is when an administrator evaluates a teacher, you have to put evidence about why you rate someone. So if you have to say what you saw, what you heard, what you experienced, you can't just say fabulous. And that's not okay. It's just ethically wrong. So the same goes for all of us. You know, if we're going to rate Ruth, we have to be able to say, what did we hear, what did we see, what did we experience that leads us to make that score, that determination. And I would ask that of all of us. There's also a place on the bottom to sign it. Every document that we make for this is public. So any document any of the community fills out, or any of the administrators fills out, or any of us fills out, those are public documents. And they can be asked for by anybody. And that's just true already. So,
excuse me, Sue, even though it might be personal issues?
Yeah. The
Well-
superintendent's evaluation is public. It's not a confidential process or a confidential document. And that's an open meeting law, which is tricky. So that has to affect how you communicate, right? You can't just mouth off. You can't just blow off steam. You have to be very reflective and very respectful.
Now, at first I saw Martha, then I'll go, you okay?
Well, I have several different thoughts about this. I think you're right that some things are hard to judge, but I'm going to tell you what I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Tell you what I think the pitfalls might be. And I've thought about this a lot too, because I've been on since 2010. First of all, we're getting a lot of information. I know we did with Dale, and we're getting from Ruth.
For self-reflections.
Backup information on what she's done and when she meets with who and so forth. Okay, that's my first point, just so people don't think
Oh, right, no,
we're
I know.
operating
She's
in a
taken lot of
complete
time with the
vacuum
document
like,
already.
I like her, so I'm gonna give her a good, or I don't. You know, we had a lot of backup. long documents. So, to my other point, and I've wondered about this myself over the years, if you start doing research, let's say under the administrator category, I guess you're talking about going to all of the principals and the other administrators?
I'm asking the principals to download the form and put their input in it and get it to us.
You're asking them to download the form and give it to each
It's
and
online.
every one of us?
No.
No.
One of them, from them, would go to Robin and Pat.
But then it's not a school committee.
That's
This
not
is-
evidence that the
this
rest
is
of the committee
evaluation
sees.
by the school
Oh, we
committee?
can all
Well-
see it. Every document they submit to you, we can all look at.
They're gonna
Right.
correlate.
We're
Yeah,
gonna
you're just
correlate
collating.
them, yeah.
No, I think what Martha is saying is that evidence provided by administrators is evidence for the committee to consider in their ratings.
Absolutely.
Not
Right.
the
Yes.
administrators fill out
Yes.
a rating
Oh,
and then
right.
submit it as
No.
though they were members of the school
No.
committee.
No.
That would not be
No.
appropriate.
It goes
No.
in and it becomes part of the mix of information.
So in other words, you want to expand what is initially the school committee evaluation of the superintendent to include members of the community's evaluation? Okay, I'm not sure, and how would that information be used in?
It would be
in-
gathered by Robin and Pat
Right,
in the
but
same
what
way
is
that
Used
ours.
in the same way.
No, that would not
But-
be appropriate.
Why not?
What is the ultimate?
I guess I don't feel comfortable. I talked to Glenn about this too. I don't feel comfortable when they ask questions about, I don't know, I can't come up with any of these right now. Recruitment and hiring strategies. I don't know. If, family collaboration, I don't know that either. There's a lot of things that our administrators know because they work hand in hand with Ruth, that I don't have a ghost of an idea.
Well, right, I
of
mean,
how
we
she
didn't know
does
with
it.
Dale either.
Right, but
So,
this
I
was,
mean,
but it was a
but-
new thing with Dale, and she didn't even know what she was, you know. I
It's
mean, it was
new for
very new.
everybody.
No, I know, but-
And-
Yeah,
You were first, yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, I'll let you go.
go for it.
All right.
Because I don't think I'm making myself understood.
No, I think I do, and I think
Thank-
there's two sides to this
Uh-huh.
expansion.
Yeah.
I want to be sure there's not a underlying agenda to drive to a certain result. And I'd like to suggest if we do consider doing that, we also include the select boards. I asked at Glenn's training, a leading question, which was, who's our customer?
Yeah.
We're the school committee. Who's our customer? And the initial answer was, well, the towns who pay for this. I can tell you right now that
That's not.
No.
that is what he said
No, it
initially.
is not.
What-
Oh my God.
You're the advocate for the schools.
I asked, who's our customer? And that's what he said. I didn't get the answer that what I was looking for initially. I drove to it, which was, it's our mission to educate kids. However, I will tell you that the superintendent is held in much higher regard than the school committee by the select boards. And I think that we are ignoring reality to think that we're not going to need to lay off teachers. And it's a real difficult situation. I think our whole community might be involved in this. The second point I would make is if you have an agenda that this evaluation process is going to influence the decision about recontracting Ruth, recall what he said, that if it's not in the contract, so don't be motivated by an end outcome. An evaluation is used, excuse me, an evaluation's purpose, more than anything, is to make us better at our jobs. So anything we can do to that end, and I would agree, I'm on thin ice on answering a lot of things here as a school committee member, because of the role.
I was gonna go on to explain at the end of this, but you sort of brought up that idea. As a community member, I thought we could include our town fathers and mothers, finance committee people, parents, any community member that wanted to be concerned and fill out this kind of a thing. I don't think we needed to have any one group excluded. I think anybody that cares to get involved is wonderful, be they administrators, school committee, faculty, parents, kids, anybody that lives in the community is a community member. So I don't think that I was meaning to exclude anybody at that time. Bill, I saw your hand up.
That's wonderful, because more information is always better, always.
Bill?
Yeah, I think a couple of short points. One, although this one's color-coded, it's on part of the district policy, it's online in the policy book, if anyone didn't go on. But this rubric, it's only a guide, and it's like a suggestion. It's what we want to use to help us in our evaluation, but it's not the be-all and end-all of our evaluation or our vote or anything. So it's a guide, and in the sense of a guide, we should, cast a wide net and gather information with or without this from anywhere we can in our purpose of furthering the school district.
Deb, you had Robin had a hand up. Okay, didn't see that one.
So what I would like to be clear about is that these are questions that as a school committee, it is our role to make judgments on. That's our role. If people want to provide evidence by filling out a thing or by writing a letter or whatever, if we as a school committee say, oh, please give us evidence, it should not be sent to me to collate with the school committee's opinion and ranking. It should be provided to every member of the school committee as evidence that they have to consider.
Oh, I see what you mean, Robin.
Yes.
It's not anybody else's job.
I see what you mean, yeah, I get it. So that we would all be factoring it in and filling out each one of those items.
And frankly, and as somebody who has been through this evaluation process myself, I'm not evaluated by what the teacher who teaches next door to me goes behind my back and says to the principal about me.
So you have concerns that people's opinions won't be professional enough?
What I want to see is evidence.
Right. Yeah.
So if I have to show that I'm engaging with families, I have to show how I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have a question about that as a school committee member, because I have to judge how well Ruth is engaging with families, my role, my job, my responsibility is to go to Ruth and say, show me what you've done.
And I think she's given us that.
But you know what? You don't get to self-evaluate when you're a teacher. You have to have evidence of how you've done that, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So
And I've always been required to self-evaluate as well.
I've always been required to survey families.
As
Not just-
part
not
of your
just say they
evidence.
did it. Yeah.
So, I'm uncomfortable with this, how it's drafted here in terms of who gets what and going out to where. So, it has been my experience especially over the last 2 years, that all well-intentioned people have pieces, parts of information out there. They don't sit here.
Abundantly clear.
They don't sit here every month. They don't participate in all the subcommittee meetings. They don't hear all the stuff. They hear bits and pieces. And then to formulate an opinion, to judge somebody. And so I will go with what Robin said. You have something, you want to bring it in, a letter as your evidence, because when I did the first one, I tore down, went into data, ripped apart pages and pieces. I looked for information. I made my discoveries. I found my data. And now to say, go out to the public arena who hears pieces and parts, I certainly wouldn't want to be judged in that manner.
Well, and I'm not asking them to give pieces and parts that are inappropriate to them, so.
Yes, Joe,
So we,
you're
so
too
we
quiet.
have, so we have a job to them.
We do.
An evaluation.
We do.
So it's up to us to do our evaluation.
Exactly.
Are we gonna beat this now for another half an hour,
I
or do we
think-
understand that we have an evaluation
I
to do?
think we understand that we have an evaluation to do. I think what we're trying to figure out is who else is gonna play into helping us with this evaluation. According to the Department of Education, I'm supposed to be correlating. And it was, and why I asked Robin if she would help me was that she was chairman of the C&P committee, which I thought was part of her job, period. Yes, Peg.
I've got what Ruth sent out for us to get started with some of her documentation. In her introduction, she says, communication is key to successful relationships with parents, students, teachers, staff, community members, and town officials. Now, for me to evaluate whether we have had successful communication with parents, students, community members, and town officials, I welcome evidence of that. Whether they send it just to you two or to all of us, we have to decide, but. So how do I evaluate that without input from them?
That's where I was coming from.
I think if it's factual-based evidence, and anyone in Bernardston that knows me, and they have a date, a time, and what happened, and it's totally objective, I would appreciate that information, because to me, that would be evidence-based.
I think we need positive, negative, halfway in between. I don't think we should
But it
say-
can't be
So,
anything
can I weigh
arbitrary.
in
Right,
now?
sure, yeah.
Can I weigh in
Yeah,
now?
you can.
Okay. I'm not afraid of having any of that. However, what Robin said is right. The way the process works, and you weren't here last year, but I can get all that evidence. I have no problem, but it's my job to get the evidence that you need to understand. It truly is. Teachers don't have principals going to outside people to find more evidence about the teachers. That would be inappropriate. I would never ask others, my principals, give me the evidence that they've supported that their work is. So last year, the evidence was somewhat overwhelming, and so I scaled it back. But it now sounds like I should go out, and I have no problem doing this, getting more evidence in these areas for you from me, because it's my evidence, to support you understanding the work I do.
Yes. Martha? I just want to say I'm not comfortable with this. And I think it's because the people, I mean, we all talk to people, okay? We all live in towns, we all have kids, know, we all hear things. But I don't want the situation to be something comparable to going out and looking for what we want to find. I could go out and ask, sometimes I hear things from people in Warwick, like this person, this teacher, somebody doesn't like, and this principal, well, I don't know. And then they'll say, oh, this person is great. I mean, I'm uncomfortable about the personal and not factual based, information, opinion, delving into a process which is outlined for the school committee to do. I'm not sure that this is going to be useful or broad enough and factual enough to draw any conclusions.
Susan, I think you had your hand up first before and then Robert's went up.
Yeah, I guess I just want to say, I really disagree with that. It's your
Fine.
job to gather all the information first and then give it to us. I feel like that's sort of a difference in the evaluation of the superintendent versus the private evaluations of administrators and faculty. I do think that it's intended that there be public input into your evaluation, and that it doesn't necessarily have to all be gathered by you. I don't know why you think that.
I wouldn't, but what I was suggesting is that I could get lots of information about this and evidence, and I probably should, to inform you from my perspective.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell you not to go out and get evidence. It's just, what I was trying to show you was that last year we had much more evidence, and I scaled it back because it was so overwhelming.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Now
John.
I understand what you meant.
It sounds like, listening to most of the people here, that they would be more comfortable having to wade through all of it.
Sounds like it.
So,
That's fine.
and I know I certainly wouldn't be, because I have to do it
Right.
on my end.
Fine.
But I think we do have to be clear. In the end, this is our job.
Okay, so that brings us back to my question. Do we open this up and ask for community members, administration, faculty, involvement or not? I hear.
I think casting a wide net, it makes you more informed. So.
What do people think? We heard Bill. Jim's nodding his head. Either he's trying to get rid of a fly or he's, okay.
Both.
Okay. What do don't everybody talk at once?
I think that I think we should not consider anything submitted that's not attributed, that somebody hasn't said, my name is and I signed this.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think things need to be signed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we
Well,
all have
anonymous.
to sign.
Yeah. Yeah, I
that's
think
why
No, I
was
mean
signed on
everybody
it.
else.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
why I was
anything
signed
that-
on the document.
Yeah, anything that came at a wider, from the wider community would have to have their signature. Otherwise,
I think
doesn't make any sense.
They should send it to me as well. I think I should get the
Yes.
information
Yes.
as well.
Everything's public, everybody
Yeah.
can see everything, absolutely.
And
As
that's,
a courtesy, though, we shouldn't just fall on the legal
Right.
requirement that she
Right,
could
right,
go
right.
do a public records
Absolutely.
request
Absolutely.
of the district.
Yeah, I
We
agree.
ought to copy this.
You're still gonna get a boatload of evidence
that
from me.
is something that I think we also ought to be very upfront about, is that if somebody from the community or the faculty or other administrators chooses to put forth evidence and sign their name on it, whatever they have put out about their own personal stuff is now part of the public record. And everybody has a right to see it. So you are putting yourself out. And there's nothing you can do about it once you've let that cat out. You can't put Pandora back in the box. You can't close that Pandora's box there.
I see 1, 2, 3 hands, so why don't we start with you and go around?
Thank you. I believe Superintendent Miller is absolutely right, that she needs to submit all of the information that proves that she has been doing these things. And your job is to verify, to check out every single thing, and if somebody sends you information that backs up what she's saying, then you can say, okay, fine, this is what she said, people are saying she's doing it. If people send you information that says that she's not doing it, then you say, okay, fine, she's not doing what she said, or some people are not receiving that. But to completely disregard anything that you haven't found out is not right. And I think that you need to be on your very best. You need to be working very, very hard to find out what the truth is. And you need to be finding it out, not just sitting around the table talking with each other, but talking with every single stakeholder in the district.
Other hands?
So, as as she mentioned, every single stakeholder in the district. So how is this gonna work on a practical basis?
Well,
It's
I
not
have
gonna
Is this
get
being
done by
sent-
May.
Is
I
gonna be
think we- I
sent
think-
out to all teachers? No, I just want a clarification on the practicality of it. I'm not saying I don't agree with it. I just wanna know the practicality of it. It would be sent
Are you
to.
asking my thoughts? Do you want me to?
No, I'm asking what actually, yeah.
Yes, Sue, why don't you, and then we'll talk to the two
I
people
don't
who raised
understand
their
how it
hands.
works.
Okay. The document is an electronic document. It could be on the school website and be downloaded. It could be, I'll send it to every school committee member, and anyone that wants it can request it from the school committee member via email. We could put it in libraries, we could put it in the select board offices, you know, I think these days information travels easily. I don't think, you know, if we could publish in the paper that it's available, so that would be a public announcement that gives access to everybody.
A robocall.
We could robocall and say, this is a process we're in for the next week or two. If you'd like to participate, this is how you might participate, or you can just write to the school committee. And we could make it clear, sign your name, and please, respectfully include evidence. What did you see, what did you hear, what did you experience, and why are you writing to us?
All right, the hands that were back there,
Oh, I just wanted to make sure that Ms. Khalid, a faculty member, has a chance to speak, so.
Okay, Alex, you had your hand up.
I completely agree with her that I believe somebody said the net, we need to include everybody's voice because it affects everybody.
Okay.
And it for sure does require more work on your part, for sure. I mean, that's no doubt. But by not wanting information, you're almost creating an agenda. And
Agreed.
you need to cast a wide net. And it is more work to filter through. And I think everyone in life gets evaluated. And we don't just get to say how we think we are. We get to find out other people's interactions with us.
Evaluated many times.
Jack?
Yeah, here's my thought. The discussion that's going on right now is legalistic and restrictive, and maybe it has to be to fulfill eval rules. But open your hearts, your minds, your consciousness, and hear what you heard tonight, and let that seep into the back of your mind and give it some attention.
Well,
The problem with that, though, is if you take the opinion of the 100, 200 people that were here, okay, those 200 people. I'll go out and find 200 people that have a very different opinion from the 200 that were here. You have to be very careful what you ask.
From the high school?
Maybe not from the high school, but you get my point, right?
Yeah.
Listen, I can guarantee 90% of this room, myself included, hate Donald Trump. Okay?
Whoa.
Right? But I'll go outside in this community and find 75 people that like him.
But tonight,
So my poll says, geez, 90%, he doesn't have a very good rating. 90%.
yeah,
Here it is.
But I think we know what we heard tonight. We had about 140 people here from the high school. They expressed themselves from their heart. If you want to go get another 140 people from the high school to offset that, be my guest, if you can find them.
All right, so let me sort of reiterate what we're gonna do and make sure we've got it correct, okay? We shall have, Ruth is gonna make up a more concisive, lengthy
I'm gonna
listing
give
of.
you comprehensive, but I'm also saying that we can't do this in May.
Okay.
It won't be able to be accomplished in May, absolutely not. It's just not.
Why not? It has to be done.
Why not?
We're
Because
ready.
there's a lot more evidence to get, a lot more reading to do, and if you want this comprehensive, I feel very strongly that it needs to have the time for people to be able to input, and that to rush it through makes no sense at all, and I don't think with the mountains of information you're gonna get from this, that it should be done quickly. I really don't. I think people need really amount of time to thoughtfully go through all the more information that you're gonna get. You're gonna get a lot more information.
All right,
Is there
then,
not a June 1st deadline for the superintendent's reevaluation?
No, I mean, they can vote to extend it, that's not the issue. It's the issue is to make.
If we run into time, and that's what I'm afraid that we're going to run into.
I don't think so, I'd have to review my contract, I really haven't looked at it.
maybe what we can do is if, she would like to extend, maybe we can extend it till, probably not graduation week, but maybe the week right after graduation. And do it at that point. And then, maybe the next week have a vote on the timeline for the contract.
When do you have to go before the contract?
It has to be done before the end of June.
However, in the contract, it does say not meeting that deadline does not make an automatic rollover. So
But
you're
you
not
said it was
tied
going to be
to
out
anything
ready.
if you wait. But if there's gonna be volumes of information, I feel strongly that people need time to really look at it. And last year, I thought you were pretty overwhelmed.
But when I spoke to our attorney, they said it should be done prior to the 30th of June to make it better. No, the hire or rehire that vote needs to be done a while before the 30th. He suggested by the middle of June that vote should be taken. There are two different things.
I have a question.
Ask away.
What do other school districts, school committees do? Do they allow, public input? What is the legal
Yes, they do.
aspect of it? Are the mass, school associations?
I don't know.
Any feelings, whatever the school committee decides?
You've probably studied that, so,
I
because
spoke
you,
at length with Glenn at the Mass Committee about this idea. And, we would be innovating because the Department of Ed is gonna give communities guidelines on how to include the public in the superintendent's evaluation, and they have not really done that. So he's very interested in our process, actually. He said, you could help other districts if you can pull this off.
So the guinea pig is, we would be the guinea pigs.
To be the innovators.
To
Yeah.
get this out there.
Jeannie?
And test them all. On a lighter note, for those of you who aren't aware, your Pioneer Boys varsity baseball team won their game today.
Alex, I saw your hand up.
Being an honorable student, I know.
You have to speak up.
Sorry. About the deadline thing. Being an honor roll student, I know deadlines are very important for homework, say, and so I don't want to rush the public's opinion on if you're going to extend the net out and get other people's facts and opinions. Then, but I expect that deadlines are met and not pushed back too far because they were set for a reason.
So, what,
Can I add something quickly? I just, also, our school improvement plan for the high school, we ran into a problem where it got pushed back, and no days, and no one's fault, but we ran into a situation where that was then passed by default, and we lost voice in it. So I would be very wary of extending the deadline.
so what I would like to suggest, again, is if that timeline needs to be extended a little, maybe Robin and I could get these evaluations back by the 10th, and Ruth could work on hers. That would give us a couple weeks, which I think would be enough. If anybody's really interested, they can push the pencil and get it done and get it back to us. We can work on that piece of correlating that information. Maybe Ruth can get us her information by when?
This is just all come to me, so I can't give you a date at this place and time. I can get back to you with a date and time, but, you know, having to look and digest all of this information, especially with this timeline being fairly quickly, the fact that Glenn did recognize that this is not something statewide, I feel like, I think I'm gonna need to call my attorney to make sure that I'm not putting myself in a position that is not, you know, that if this isn't a typical, and I thank you for calling Glenn, typical situation for superintendents, I certainly need to, understand consequences of me saying, yeah, let's go, because I'm really not worried about it, but I'm just trying to be smart, so I think, if you all would just, wait to take a vote and, let me get some more information, I think that makes a lot more sense. I think some of the committee members, this is all kind of new to them, first time they heard it, and maybe they need to digest it as well.
Then maybe we need a special meeting, in the beginning of May, after you've connected with your attorney.
Yeah, I
To
mean-
know what's going on, because we do have deadlines, and we do need to work within those deadlines. So what would happen if, what is like 2 weeks from today? Does anybody?
May 10th.
That's May 10th? Okay.
More or less.
So we're gonna meet the day that it's due, that'll be.
Well,
Give us time to digest it.
So here's May 10th. Here's today.
okay.
We had 2 weeks as it was.
So we have the 11th, it would be on Thursday.
No, the 11th is Bernardston's town meeting.
Okay.
Yeah,
And there's somebody's is another date too.
Leiden would be.
Right, is the 13th. Okay, is next week gonna rush it too much for you to get information?
Pat, if I may,
Sure you may.
it occurs to me that you are approaching a big change here, which may be very appropriate. But I think you should do it next year. I think you all have ears, you all have friends in the community, you certainly don't live in isolation. You know everything you're going to see in writing. You do your job as it has been defined, and put this on the agenda to work it up and do it a new way next year. Don't try to invent the wheel in a week here.
We're trying to rush it too much, I think, to do
I
a
agree.
justifiable job.
It's dumped on us, I mean, and dumped on Ruth and dumped on the rest of us. It's too, we never, I've been on this committee since 2010, we never did this with Dale, we have the same kind of thing.
We did it with
It
Dale
wasn't
one
new.
time.
We never had community, well, maybe, but not since 2010 we did it. We never had community
We never
input.
did it before. We did it one time with Dale. This is a brand new process. We've done it once with Ruth and once with Dale.
Well, we did evaluations with Dale, but we never.
One
asked
time,
the community.
one time.
Oh, I don't think we're
Dale had an evaluation every year.
It just started. It just
No,
started.
it's with this document.
It just
Well,
started.
but with the
We've never
rubric,
seen
we
this
didn't,
before.
we did evaluations every year, but not with the rubric.
It was different. It was a different process. Okay, so what's everybody's choice? What's everybody want? This is a committee, we need to make a decision. The committee needs to make the decision.
I make a motion to put this to next year, thought processing, to go about our, evaluation of the superintendent in the same manner that we did last year, working through the data, working through our stuff, and doing it that way, to implement all this other stuff at the last minute with deadlines, and try to meet those deadlines, try to do a good job at something I think is not the right place this year.
So that was
You
the
have to
motion.
stop so
That's
somebody
my-
can second.
I second it.
I'm
You
sorry,
can't
it
shut
was
Deb
wordy.
up. Okay, who seconded it?
I second
Martha,
it.
is there any more discussion?
I have a discussion.
And she's just here in the middle.
Oh,
Somebody
I
has
wanna-
to stand up and
I've had
say,
enough public input.
The school has had so many changes overnight, and you can't handle doing your job.
This is just not right.
You want to put it off for another year. This is why we're in the situation we're in. Now get with it, school committee, and do your job.
And I
Did
don't
you
think it
recognize
was
her?
appropriate, because we are doing our jobs.
No,
We're discussing a different way of evaluating, which is a lot more encompassing. I personally will take any documentation that is not subjective and is evidence-based. I'm not excluding that. If other members of the community want to, fine. I would take that into consideration during my evaluation. But what this whole rubric includes is a much different way of us performing our job as evaluating the superintendent.
David, you called the question?
I call the question.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion to do as? Yes.
Calling the question just means to end discussion, you have to vote on the question.
You are right.
Whether it's gonna be ended or not. So you have to
Thank
vote
you.
the question, up or down, whether we're ending discussion.
All right.
What are we voting on right now?
We're voting.
Whether or not to end
End
discussion.
discussion.
Discussion, okay.
All those, okay.
All those in favor of ending discussion? Is that
Yes,
what you're asking?
yes.
On this motion.
On this motion only. Okay. Opposed?
I'm supporting Bill, I need Bill to say.
Okay. So the motion passes. We've ended discussion.
Now we'll hold a vote.
And now we will have our vote, which was made by Deb and seconded by Martha. Correct?
Yep.
Okay. So all the,
People
do
remember
you
what we're
want,
voting
do you
on?
want to read that?
The motion is to wait until next year to change the process of the superintendent evaluation because it's too short a time to make such a major change in the process.
All those in favor of that vote? Of waiting for change?
What do you mean by wait? Because changing it, we can't change the document or state law.
changing it,
Clarify
the way
that.
that we
The
gather,
way that we
changing the
gather
format.
evidence.
The process.
You're not gonna do the new process. You're gonna stick with what you've done.
We're
Are you
not,
not
Just-
using the rubrics anyhow?
we're using the rubric anyhow.
But not, just not as extensively, which is,
Just as extensive.
Not for public input.
You're using the rubrics, no sense.
Okay, so that vote again, not to use public input?
I don't think that's the vote. That's not the vote. It's, that's not, it's.
The way I heard the motion is that Deb proposed not expanding the process as proposed in this two-week
Into the
deadline.
survey of
Right.
the entire community.
Yeah, that if you wanna change that process, to wait until next year and implement it more fully, because it's too short a period of time to make such a major change in a process when there's a really tight deadline.
So we will stick to the deadline.
Yes.
Yes, correct. We are not going to implement a community survey in the next week and a half.
Now, Ruth, is this deadline here going to make a difference with what we give us more information?
No, I'll get-
Okay.
I'll
So
survey
we
the-
can stick to the 10th and the 25th
Right.
if this is voted. Okay? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, three opposed. All right, so by doing this, our committee needs to make sure that the evaluations come back to Robin or myself. If you do an email or get it to the central office, one or the other. And we will work on correlating this, and then we can review the evaluation at our next school committee meeting, which is the 25th of May.
Or give it to your grandson.
That will work. That will work. Okay, moving along. We have principals and administrators, but if there's nothing really vital they need to say,
thank you for
I would tell them,
newsletters.
thank you for sitting there, but I think that I don't think you'd mind. The thumbs up is good. Personnel was electronically given to us, if it did, I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
it was.
Policy, we met today. Bill, do you have anything to say about policy subcommittee?
I think each of you have a copy of this English language learner education parent handbook. If you could review that for next week, we should have the other handbook finalized for review for our first reading before we.
When is the full committee?
If you could take a look at this.
Next month.
Yeah.
Okay, not next week.
Did I say next week?
Yes,
Sorry.
that's why we
Next
got
month.
worried.
Next week. Sorry. We're gonna try and look at the elementary school handbook. We've been looking at them for a long time, but have them, processed for revised.
And that's it?
That was it.
Okay. We have some updates here. Robin's phone number is changed back again to what it was to begin with. Hallelujah. Thank you for the telephone company.
It's got a year to fix it.
Our town meeting dates are there. And did you have information that I asked about to have, like a pie chart, those kinds of things for the committee, so we could fully understand what the budget was, so we could
So I don't
talk
have
about
it
it?
with me, but I can send it to them.
Okay, that would be great, because I think both Warwick and Northfield people, members of our school committee, need to have all the information we can get in front of us so we can fully understand. And you and Gail will be at our town meetings?
I'm gonna be at both Northfield and Warwick's. I'm gonna start at yours, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be okay. Talk
to the police that you don't get a speed ticket
No, I'm not gonna,
between.
well, no, they're gonna be at the meeting, so
Okay.
that
Oh, that's
25
good.
mile an hour going to Warwick is not gonna be a problem.
That's good.
And I think I'm not.
But that information, I think, is really important to have the town the town school committee members have that, so we can understand what it's all about. So if we're asked a question prior to town meeting, we don't appear quite as dense as we might. That's not nice, but anyhow. And graduation dates. I always beg for Pioneer starting for all our committee to be there. So try to put it on your calendar and call the superintendent's office or the Pioneer's office to make sure you get reservations so we can have special seats to sit in. But it's really, we sit here tonight and we grapple with all we grapple with, but we don't go to graduation. What does that tell the kids? I really think it's important. I know. Not everybody goes though, so.
Well, I think everybody that can go.
Right, so that's why I always appeal to everybody to
I
take
don't know
time
why
out of
you
their
put it down
schedule. It's not me, it's the kids. So if we can, to attend and support those kids that are graduating. And also take notice of the elementary schools and the spring concert, which is at Pioneer for the elementary schools. It's amazing to see all those kids
This is for
work
the
together.
binders. I wanna pass this is to their binders.
Okay.
But Sue, you don't get one,
Everybody
cause I have a book that's all set.
So our next meeting is the 25th of May, as we stated before, at Pearl Road. So we're on the road again. So we'll be traveling to Pearl Road at 7.
Pat, is there any way that we can change, what if this crowd shows up at Pearl Road Elementary School?
That's true, I hadn't thought about that.
But every year we go to each school.
What happens
Yeah, but
if,
it's just many
what
people.
happens if these many people show up at Pearl Road?
Well, it's not fair to not go to Pearl Road, is it?
Strategic Plan and Art Committee.
Could we, I don't know, we'll let you know after we think about it.
Strategic plan?
Was there two of them?
There's two of them, one's the heart and one's strategic.
Sorry.
Okay? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So are we still gonna meet at Pearl Roads next month, or are
We
we
will-
gonna look?
It'll be really nice to meet outside.
We will talk to Ruth and figure it out and let everybody know.
Ideally, it would be nice, but this many people aren't gonna fit in. if there's this
They
many
did it
people.
last year.
Yeah, they did.
You're right, Karen.
She's
I
right,
do
they did.
remember.
Yes.
Was
It is in May, we can meet outside.
Yeah, it was a lot
Lovely.
easier
No,
here.
In the
not-
rain garden.
No, not with all those
Can we
naps.
do the town hall? What about the Lyden Town
No.
Hall across the street? Much bigger.
Has to be posted in one spot or another. So we'll get back to people.
Well, it'll be posted.
It'll be posted, and if you wanna know, just, probably be on the internet too. I just think now we're trying to figure out really quick, so.
Go to your town meetings.
Yes, go to your town meeting.
Right,
If you don't support our budget, I mean, we have our two larger towns that have a lesser amount on their warrant than what the school committee voted. And if you think it's bad now, it's gonna be worse if we don't support those two specific towns specifically, because too many specifics.
You high school kids are 18, go and vote.
Yes.
Go and vote.
And tell all your buddies to do it.
Get your parents there.
So, yeah. So, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I didn't make the motion.
So moved.
Jim seconded it before I got first.